Hello. Hello, Thessaloniki. We are glad we're here today. We hope that you enjoyed the previous presentations and you learned something useful. And we also hope that you'll get something meaningful out of this one as well. So we're going to talk about how we unlock the future of customer engagement in Vodafone. Okay, we're going to talk about Toby, which is our 24/7 virtual assistant. We're going to talk about Pega, which is an end-to-end campaign management system, and the data warehouses that support these systems. Let's go. So, are you familiar with Toby? Have you used it in the past? Anyone here that has used Toby? All right, some people. Nice. I really hope you liked it. Let's see in high level how Toby is working. So, right here, in the center of the screen, we have the heart of our virtual assistant, Toby. It is hosted on Vodafone DXL. DXL stands for Digital Experience Layer, and it's actually an AWS-based middleware hosting microservices regarding different components. Many Vodafone systems are using that, but this is the heart of Toby. On the left side there, you can see that we are using Genesis platform as our enabler and handler of interactions. So chat and voice interactions are go through Genesis before they can be directed to Toby or an actual agent. On top, we can see that we are integrating with different NLU providers. NLU is a very important aspect for any virtual assistant. It stands for Natural Language Understanding. Some colleagues of mine might refer to that as CLU as well, Conversational Language Understanding. It's the same, okay? So for that, we're using Microsoft services and Homilia. And at the bottom part of the screen, we are seeing the backend integration part. So what we do here is that we build connector microservices within DXL as well in order to be efficient in communication between Toby and any backend system. And these microservices, the connectors, as I'm describing here, allow us to connect with the backend system in order to get useful information about the customer, in order to handle their needs. And now, let's have a quick, fun quiz about Toby. So, you should guess which of the below are actual customer phrases that were said to Toby from time to time. So, right here, the first option, Elena wants, please, Mr. Toby, I would like to connect me with a manager immediately. This is one. We have another one from Panagiotis. Thank you, mate, you rock. Third one is Kostas. You helped me, but I'm afraid that machines are going to replace us and take our jobs. And the fourth one is a request to predict who is going to win the elections in the municipality of Athens. So, what do you think? How many of you select the first one? Can I see some hands? All right. How many go with the second option, Panagiotis? Okay. What about Kostas, the third option? Okay. And the fourth one? Okay. These are the correct options. Obviously, anything can be said to Toby. From time to time, we read anything. We do not obviously offer political advice or predictions, but our assistant, Toby, will guide this customer to an actual agent, a real human, in order to assist with anything related to Vodafone. Okay. Now let's move on. I will hand over to my colleague Anthi here to talk about Pega.
Hello, everyone. I am Thi, and I work as Pega developer in Vodafone Greece. Firstly, I would like to also start with some questions. So, do we have anyone here that is working as a marketing analyst? Perfect. Do we have anyone that is working with data? Okay, I guess that you are using them in order to make data-driven decisions. So my last question is, have you ever heard of Pega? Besides now, of course. Okay, nice. Usually they do not raise their hands, so usually I'm not used to people knowing Pega. So this is why I'm here, in order to present to you what Pega is. So in order to understand what Pega is, we will start with the picture that we see here. Generally, Pega takes as inputs the customer's profile, meaning data, and also the real-time data, such as the last time that the customer performed a login to the application. And lastly, we have the customer's feedback. By that, we mean, let's say, that the customer communicated with Toby in the past, and the customer got an offer from Toby and either accepted it or declined that offer. So this is the feedback. All that goes inside Pega, they pass through the business logic that is inside there, along with some adaptive models that we have built, and we are always training them based on the feedback of the customers. And Pega gives us output the next best personalized offer. So this is why we use Pega in Vodafone Greece. Generally, it is a low-code platform and has a friendly user interface. This is for the marketing analyst in order to be able to perform easier the business logic changes, because this decreases the time to market. Also, inside Pega, we have an omni-channel approach, meaning that the same offer, the same customer will have the same offer in every available channel. Also, we have our campaigns. They run daily inside Pega, and they are automated without any human interaction. Lastly, this is a tool that has contributed to the digital acceleration, meaning that most of our flows are digitalized end-to-end. From the offering part till the offering activation, no human interaction happens, except, of course, of the customer. Now, this is a good point in order to see the technologies that we use. Generally, we use Pega Customer Decision Hub, also known as Pega CDH, but in this presentation, we will refer to it as Pega. Generally, as we see, the Pegasus is flying in the sky from cloud to cloud. So does our Pega system, because it is cloud-based, Kubernetes cluster in GCP, and we are also using Helm charts. Also, we have Jenkins for automated deployments from one environment to another. And of course, because we have a user-friendly UI, we have our own pseudo language. It is called Pega Rule Process Commander, and we will refer to it later on as PRPC. This pseudo language is later on behind the screen, transformed into Java. So in Pega, we do not see Java, but behind the screen is Java. And of course, as a decision-making tool, we need data. So this is why we have our databases. We have our PostgreSQL database, that is a relational database, and there we have the more static data that are fed to us daily. And of course, our Cassandra database, that is a database, non-relational database, and there we have the more needful data that are needed to be presented in Pega in real time, such as the last time the customer performed the login we mentioned before. And now we said that Pega is cloud-based, so we will see how it is built in the cloud. Generally, this is something that our in-house DevOps team has built with main priority the security and the customer's privacy. An example of that is, if you see the red lines, this is This is the connection between the GCP projects, and this is done via VPC peering. Of course, we have our GCE ingress controller, that there goes all the traffic, and it split it to our load balancers. Our load balancers are dynamically and reactively configured via the Helm charts that we mentioned before. And we have an internal load balancer that there goes all the calls from our internal system, such as our CRM that also George mentioned earlier. And then we have our external load balancer that there goes all the calls that come to Pega over the internet, such as Toby. Also, the blue highlighted component is our Squid proxy that also follows the principle of infrastructure as a code, as it is built via Terraform, that it's declarative code that provisions it to the cloud. So, also from my side, I have a quiz in order to refresh your mind. So the question is, which is the biggest benefit of Pega? A, that is an AI-powered decisioning tool to solve pressing business challenges. B, that is a low-code application. C, that is has an omnichannel approach. Or D, all the above. Take a second to think about it, and I believe that you all found it, because it is D, because it is all the previously mentioned. And now that we saw Pega and Toby, we will see those systems in action. So, George?
Yeah, thank you. So, maybe you got a little bit overwhelmed from all this theory we just presented. It's always better to explain something by example, and we're going to see that right now. Now, let's suppose that the customer goes through our website and activates Toby. Okay, you press the Toby button. Initially, as you see, a session is generated. At that point, Genesis is activated. In our case, it's through the website, and the chat channel, shown with blue colors, initiates a session with Toby. Toby is activated and starts to process this customer. Now, after we greet him, right? So the first question is, okay, hello, how can I help you? At that point, customer will provide their feedback. They can say anything. And here comes a crucial part, which is to activate the NLU, the Natural Language Understanding Engine. And there, we must get the intent of the customer. We must understand, based on his expression, what is the thing that he needs to help him about. So we activate the NLU engine. Currently, it's a third party made by Omilia. And we get back the customer intent. At that point, Toby engine will initiate the appropriate journey. For us, it's a customer that wants to activate a prepaid package. So it's a customer that wants to pay some amount of money in order to activate a bundle with data or voice or anything. Okay. And at the next step, we're going to invoke Pega in order to check if this customer is entitled to some kind of special offer. So moving on, we engage our backend and we request if this customer is entitled to some offer. Based on his previous behavior and the data we have collected for that particular customer, we find that this customer is entitled to some kind of offer, and we present it to them. Right here, they choose to accept this offer. Okay, so we reinvoke Pega in order to let the system know that the customer would like to actually activate the offer. And we present the result, the successful activation, and the customer new amount available to his account after this bundle is activated. Afterwards, you may notice that we present some survey to the customer that will help us understand if this was indeed a meaningful experience for them. And we take their feedback very seriously. Obviously, objectively, while I run this test, I select to input the maximum score for our team to improve our numbers. Okay, but we frequently check all the feedback surveys in order to improve the journeys that were not very helpful for our customers. Now, going back to a little bit more general information, I would like to mention that with the blue arrows, you can see the chat channel and the components that are activated during the chat interaction. We have taken the decision to move away from our external partner. We are satisfied with them, generally speaking, but we need to have complete control over our NLU engine. So we have gotten some resources, some colleagues in-house, and we're building a dedicated NLU for us, designed by us. So we're going to move away, go to Microsoft, and all the rules and entities are built there. So far, I should mention that we have built and developed in-house 154 journeys for Tobii in total. Our in-house NLU team so far has created 100 entities and 16 intents. And we have also built 66 microservices in order to integrate with the backend systems. These are used by Tobii and also by some other systems. Now, an additional important note is right here. We can see that by just adding an intermediate layer handling speech-to-text and text-to-speech, we can also present Tobii and all their journeys, all this logic that was already built, we can present this to the voice channel. So we reuse everything on the right side of this diagram just by adding a speech-to-text element. We have started rolling out Tobii Voice within 2024. We are gradually doing that because we need to be careful not to disrupt the customer experience. But soon, hopefully within 2025, we will have all our journeys in chat and voice within Tobii. Chat is already there. It's an older product. Voice will also get there within the next 6 months. Okay. Now, we're going to take a step back and see exactly why Pega offered this particular promotion, which is personalized to this particular customer. And Anthi will explain exactly how Pega is working. All right.
As George mentioned, we will start by firstly seeing the components inside Pega that are used in this customer journey. Of course, in the start, we have the service REST component, that from there we are reading the request that Tobii sent us. Then we have the data transform, and its purpose is to transform data based on our needs. An activity that is a more technical component, and the purpose is to automate the system to support complex processes. Then the data flow, that is working as data pipelines, loading data from our databases, and sending them to the strategy, that there we have the business rules and also the adaptive models, and the outcome of the strategy is the actual offers. So, in the start, we have the service REST component. At this point, I would like to mention that Pega is object-oriented platform, because we said before that behind the screen we have Java. So, we have classes inside Pega, as we are Java-oriented. Those classes depict the hierarchy, and they also promote the reusability of the code based on the classes. So, firstly, we see the endpoint URL. From here, we read the request that Tobii sent us, that I want an offer for that customer. We are taking this request and saving it to the clipboard page that we see, that exists in a class. And we are sending this clipboard page to the actual data transform that also exists in the same class. And now we said that Toby sent us a request, but we didn't see it. So here it is. Here is the request. It is the picture down. As we can see, in the request we have the name of the channel, of course in our case Toby, and the subscription of the customer. So this goes inside the data transform, and the first thing that we need to do is actually take those information, the channel and the phone number of the customer, and map them. After that, we are encrypting the phone number of the customer for security, and from now on, we are only using the encrypted subscription, or the phone number of the customer. After that, we are performing some validation checks, meaning that all the requests that are here need to be in the template that we see down below. If the validation checks are passed, then we are continuing by triggering the activity, or else we are returning back an error. The next component is the activity. The activity is a more technical component. We have here the deserialization of the request. We are setting data. And of course, we are creating an empty page that later on will be filled with the offers of the customer. And later on, we are triggering the data flow. Now, this is the data flow that is working as data pipelines. We said that Pega is making data-driven decisions. So at this point, we are loading those data in order to take the decision. So in the start, we have the encrypted phone number of the customer and, of course, the channel. And based on the encrypted phone number of the customer, we are loading data from our databases, both PostgreSQL and Cassandra. For example, we see down below in the picture that we are loading, let's say, from our PostgreSQL database, we are loading the active packages that the customer has, but also their revenue, their usage, and more things. This is a small part. And after we load all those things, of course, we are passing them inside the strategy. So here we have the Pega strategy. I'm sure that you won't be able to read what is written in the components, but we will zoom in later and see the basic components in order to understand what they are doing. Generally, this might seem a little bit complex, but in general, the business logic is complex, and the good thing about Pega is that this logic is split in small components, as you see, that are colorful, and it is easier to maintain later on and perform changes. So the general idea inside the Pega strategy is that in the start, in the blue component, we have the customer along with his profile. To that, we are importing offer, all the available commercial programs of Vodafone. And in the red arrow is all the business rules, and of course our adaptive models. If the customer is eligible for any of the offer, they will end up in the end, the orange component. So now we will deep dive in each component. The first one is the importing of the offers. So we are either importing all the available commercial programs or a specific group of offers based on our needs. Then we can import the feedback because previously we said that based also on the feedback we are proposing offers. So we can import the feedback of the customer based on the criteria that we want. So here we see that we are importing for the last 60 days and for a specific group of offers, but this is totally configurable based on the business logic needs. Then we said that if the customer is eligible for any offer, they will get the offer. So we need to pass them through the business criteria. This is an example. This is the component that is filled with the business criteria. Here we see that this customer is eligible for this offer if his line is active. So if they pass this criteria, they will continue and pass another criteria. We can also call other strategies because this strategy might seem big, and if we add more logic, it might become chaotic. So we can create other strategies, call them, and maybe reuse them in other strategies too. At this point, I would like to also mention that we have the adaptive models, and an example of that is the propensity property. What is propensity? Propensity is the likelihood of the customer to accept an offer, meaning that in our case, we see that the customer is more likely to accept an offer with higher data allowance. So this customer, the offer that we'll get, will have a higher priority from the rest. I mean, the offer with a higher data than the rest offers. And lastly, we have the set property component. And here we can set properties either for the logic that we need to use later on, or for the offer composition that will be also used in the offer activation. In general, this is the strategy. This is something that a marketing analyst will work on. And this is the PRPC language, so no Java was here. And now we have the offers. So the offers will go back to the data flow, and from there they will fill this page with the actual offers. And of course, we will save them in our PostgreSQL database because this is the feedback, also the proposed offers. And at this point, we need to present the offer to Toby in a readable way. At this point, the offers are in runtime in the Pega, but they're not readable from Toby. So this is why we're using the data transform. There we can see the response that Toby is able to read. So, but our offers isn't at this state at this moment. So in Pega, there, we are setting the path of the response with the values of the offers. So an example of that is the validity period, meaning the period that the customer, the offer is available for the customer in order to activate it. And in Pega, we can see that we are setting the path of the response based on the offer's value. The same also happens about the description that was also displayed in the chat. And now we are sending back to Toby the response. So Toby is able to present those offers. But from my side, this flow took me about 10 minutes to describe it. But in general, this is something that happens below than 1.2 seconds. So this is a quick flow. We talked about Pega, Toby also, but we said that Pega is able to make those data-driven decisions, those offers, based on data. But we never talked about the data, how they go towards Pega. So, of course, we have our data warehouse, our Vodafone in-house data warehouse that is hosted on Google Cloud Platform using big queries that allows the rapid analysis. And there we have daily automated processes that are managed through Dataform that performs data transformation and flows and are orchestrated with cloud components that schedule and manage workflows. So, in general, the data warehouse is sending in batch flows in those daily automated processes towards Pega those data, and in Pega we are saving them in the PostgreSQL database. And later on, it was the data that we imported in the data flow, meaning the car revenue, the car usage that I mentioned.
All right. So, also, we need to have a honorable mention towards Datamove. Datamove is another platform of ours. We are building that in-house as well. The base infrastructure is Google Cloud. Okay. And there, we have this dedicated system with a dedicated team in order to stream and move around data between our different systems. So we're talking about traditional backend systems like Pega or CRM, and we're also talking about data lakes and data warehouses. Because this data exists in different formats in every system, we need an intermediate layer to first perform any transformation necessary in order to integrate with each particular system. And secondly, in most of the cases, we need some encryption and anonymization based on regulations, because obviously we are audited by the Greek authorities and also by the GDPR EU regulations. So for this, inside Datamove, okay, we use Dataflow for big data engineering tasks, and we implement there the logic to execute complex tasks. And also, we are using parallelism for this. For lighter and not so much intensive flows, we use Cloud Functions. This is a product of Google Cloud. It's serverless. Okay. We use the Composer element in order to monitor the workflows and join them. And finally, we have an Apache Kafka installation in order to store and manage events. As you can see, Datamove can handle both streaming flows for near real-time communication and also batch flows for more traditional, let's say, data flows. For both these systems, we would like to thank our colleagues Dimitra and Yannis that help us create these diagrams. Now, some words about our team. So, Pega consists of 22 members, and Toby has 38. These teams are both cross-functional, so not only IT, but also business colleagues. Okay. Our data squads have 28 dedicated, mostly IT members. And in general, in Vodafone, we have more than 300 experts from all departments. And our offices are located in Athens, Crete, and Thessaloniki, which is our newer tech hub, where, by the way, we are actively recruiting and searching for talent. So if you are interested, we'll be happily communicate with you and connected with you. Okay, now some achievements. Regarding Toby, at this moment, we boast 50% chat containment. This means that any contact that communicates with Toby in the chat channel has a 50% chance to get an end-to-end self-service, so we don't need to hand over this to an actual agent. For example, for September, we managed 440,000 contacts. This means that 220,000 people got a self-service through chat. Our containment is lower in voice because we just started during this year. We managed 150,000 contacts there. And our uptime is 99.95%. It's good. It's not ideal. We know that when the customer has a problem, you need to be able to resolve this immediately. We are aiming for 99.98, okay, which is only a few hours per year of downtime. We are hoping to get there due to some upgrades that we will perform in the near future, in the next 6 months. Okay, and we, of course, have Pega.
And from Pega side, we have an uptime of 99.8%. Generally, the customer targeted by outbound campaigns per month are about 1.4 million. Our API responsiveness is below 1.2 seconds. And of course, all the campaign execution happens inside Pega without any ad hoc actions. So, now we have some time 5 minutes for questions. Do we have any?
For those who are not asleep yet, we hope, we would gladly take your questions and respond to them.
Do we have any questions? Ah, there's the man. Be patient, I've got short legs. There you go.
Okay. Hello. Can you tell us more about why you decided to have this complex architecture hosting on AWS using Azure? Because I saw something about speech services, and then Google Cloud, you mentioned in the beginning only GKE, and then on the data move, we saw everything is on Google Cloud. Apart from Kafka, you're using Kafka instead of PubSub. So can you tell us more about it?
All right. That's really a good question. I was wondering that myself when I joined Vodafone. So the main reason we are using all those cloud providers is that we don't want to be 100% dependent on a single provider. Now, each one of those has some advantages and disadvantages. So everything related to data and data warehouses, we found out that Google is the best solution for us, the most efficient and also more cost-effective. Okay, our infrastructure regarding mostly EKS microservices is hosted on Amazon. Okay, but it's easy to migrate those if needed, because it's a Kubernetes, actually, installation, so we can migrate that. And Microsoft Cloud, we don't really use that as infrastructure. We get the services from there. So we get the speech services and the NLU engine as a service. This can be any provider. The reason we selected Microsoft for Toby is that when the product launched in 2019, only Microsoft, out of all the big players, supported the Greek language. Most of our interactions are in Greek, so the only viable option at that point was Microsoft. Okay. Did I answer your question? Okay.
Right, okay.
Anyone else? We will have a test later. And if you answer correctly, you will
have a
big
couple
prize.
of minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Where's the curiosity? Right, okay.
Maybe it's a duplicate question. You already answered. Pega has also a good number of natural language processing capabilities, at least in the recent ones.
Sorry, can you speak up?
Pega has in the recent versions also quite powerful language processing capabilities. Why have you used not Pega for this as well?
Sorry, can you repeat it a little bit higher? I wasn't able to hear you. Really sorry for this.
Okay, you explained the very tight coupling of Pega on the one side for fulfilling the customer requests at the end, and for the front end having Toby for the natural language processing, to collect the information, the customer data, verify him, and so on and so on. So Pega, out of the box, also has quite strong natural language processing capabilities. Why are you not using Pega for this as well? Is there any specific reason you separated in Toby and Pega for the business cases? Why not using Pega for the natural language processing aspects?
All right, so
This is a good question.
yeah. We might, if they support Greek language, we might evaluate this solution as well. Personally, I was not aware of that. Maybe we can investigate that, and if it's a good offer, we will consider it. We have one more question.
There you go.
Okay, and one more in the back. Good.
So
someone was watching our presentation. Yeah. Great.
So are you developing your own LLM in Greek language? Because you have discussed about that.
LLM, I wouldn't call it LLM yet. It's something that we are considering, but the language understanding model is currently developed in-house. We have a team of 4 dedicated members working only on that. Mm-hmm. They are also not strictly IT personnel. they have linguistic studies, because obviously you need something like that. It's something that we are doing. Okay. LLM needs a lot of data. And
especially for Greek language adaptation,
yes,
because it has been done only once by Athena Research Center, as I know, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, LLM, not yet. It's something that we are considering, of course, but the language rules for Greek are currently developed in-house
NLU,
with the maximum available pace for us. Okay.
Thank you.
You want to answer the previous question? Right, okay, that's a first.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm George. I'm from Vodafone Greece 2 in Pega team. Regarding the previous question about Pega, back on 2019 that we launched Pega CDH, these capabilities was not able in Pega side. So we are now discussing also with Pega team in order to introduce these capabilities and maybe migrate to this. To be honest, until now, we are not so happy with the functionality. Toby seems to be better on this right now, but we will evaluate, and of course, we can discuss more in the kiosk if you have any further better decision and discussion to perform and share. Thank you very much for your question, first of all. Good question.
And someone in the back wanted to ask.
Right, we're timed. We're timed out.
All right, so our kiosk is right there. Please come and we will discuss whatever you need. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much all for your time.